Hey everybody, Adam Savage in my cave, and yes, there is a 15-foot long raptor behind me. Ain't she pretty? You don't know this about me, but I have always wanted to build a raptor costume. Like you, dinosaurs were one of my first obsessions. We went to the library every weekend, and all I looked at was books full of dinosaurs and sharks. And now here she is. She was constructed during the dark days of COVID in the fall and summer of 2020. And only now is she back together and is about to get her colors and become a real dragon, a real dino, a real raptor, a real costume. But it all began in 2020 with a whole bunch of separate constructions that I brought together. So let's start there. Let's start with how she came to get to this state, and then we'll come back and give her some paint. We're proceeding apace with the tail. We are proceeding apace with the tail, and you might be wondering why I've gone to the trouble of drilling all these holes. I'm not removing a huge amount of weight by doing them, but I said this up front. This costume is a heavy costume, and it's hard on the body of the wearer. I know in costuming that the battle for weight is lost in 1,000 cuts. And by that, I mean you can gather together a bunch of things you think are light, and when you assemble them, they still make something that is heavy. And so the battle for weight is also won by 1,000 cuts. So I am in every possible way removing as much weight as I possibly can from this structure where I don't need it. But you'll see even down to the cross-sectional ribs, I have removed all this material. And in removing all that material, I think I've removed a couple of pounds of weight so far. And the goal is to keep on doing that, just to keep on making this as space frame as possible in order so that it's not hard on my body. Well, I have the skeletal structure of the wooden tail, really a significant portion of the way. Look at that. Look at that. That is awesome. And it weighs very little. I'm not sure exactly how much it weighs, but this is without a doubt as light as I could possibly make it using any material. I need to spread out the surface area. Hold on, let's take a look. See, because if you look at this, right, it's totally skeletal. So if I put a thin skin on this, what you'd see are all the ribs. Yeah, take a look at that. That's really cool. Oh, yeah. I'm super stoked at how light this is, but I still have to get it to look good. I'm about to start widening the ribs. I'm gonna widen them with this stuff. This is coroplast. This is a sign material. It's effectively a polyethylene corrugated cardboard. It's the stuff your post office, you know, those bins that the post office has, the 501s or whatever they're called. Yeah, that's what this stuff is. And it is about, again, it's about the lightest material you could get for what it does. And what I'm about to do is use a high strength hot glue to hold that on there like this. And then once I've got those in, I'm going to go and cover them with this stuff. And what's going to happen is I'm going to end up with this open cell foam. See that? Now I no longer have ribby ribs because I've spread, yeah, see that? I've spread that softness all the way across. So it is a crap ton of busy work. This is going to take me all day to finish this out, but I don't mind. I am really happy with how this is going. Before I put on this open cell, very, very open cell foam, I was at 4.2 pounds. Yes. I mean, look, there's still a lot of engineering to do. I am attaching these open cell foam things by using a spray glue on the foam itself And as you can see in the time lapse here, I'm applying a barge glue, a rubber-based contact cement. Again, I'm doing this for durability's sake. Contact cement is one of the more positive bonds there is out there. I've got every kind of glue in this project. So far in this tail, I've got wood glue, cyanoacrylate glue, hot glue, high-strength hot glue, and barge glue. But one of the nice things about these foam pieces is they should make the tail look really, really nice. That's the goal, is to balance out those ribs. Okay, for 6, only 21 to go. Well, my dino tail is done. I am super pleased. I'm really, really happy with how the dino tail turned out. It looks great, making it resilient, distributing the load on it using the fabric so it can't bend too much. All of that, those were some of the most difficult problems to solve on this build. The next most difficult is me wearing it. That's the harness. That is, it's going to be a thing. Okay, the standard costumes in this space weigh between, my understanding is between 50 and 75 pounds. There are different makers of them around the world, but that is a lot of weight. If you've ever hiked with a 50 to 75 pound pack, you know that that is a lot of weight on your body. I am hoping to get my dino under 50 pounds, but even still, I am not a paragon of physical fitness. So I am going to be building this harness according to the plans that Animax uses. And I'm distributing it across not only the shoulders, but like a good camping pack across my hips. So the first thing I've got to make is a back plate, and then I've got to make the foam liner. And that's going to curl around and be able to buckle here, and buckle here. And once I get that, the next step is to add on the tail and the overarching mechanics to operate the head. Many cosplayers, when they're making their own costumes, make their own mannequins of themselves. And there's a sort of tried and true cosplay methodology for doing this, in which you cover yourself with plastic bags, and then you duct tape the plastic bags, and then you cut each form up and retape it, and then add some foam or some fiberglass to that, and you end up with a mannequin that is roughly your size. I am supremely lucky in that I have this mannequin from a scan that my friends at FBFX did of me. Yeah, I'm a little heavier in this scan than I am now, probably about 10 pounds, but that's fine. That actually makes costumes easier to wear when I make them to fit this mannequin. And it is on here, I'm gonna make a paper pattern for the harness. I also have some of this really, really nice dense foam, which should provide a really comfortable, tightenable padding for this. The problem I'm trying to solve here, the problem I'm trying to solve here is not too dissimilar from what a spacesuit has to do. It has to take a rigid thing that protects you and attach it precisely to something that is not rigid, and that is our bodies. And as Mary Roach says in the beginning of Packing for Mars, human beings are the worst part of a space engineer's job, because we are all different sizes and we are hard to make precise things for. All right, to the drawing and cutting and measuring and patterning. Well, it's been a lot of cutting and fitting and cutting. But I now have a really, really lightweight sort of camping backpack frame with a lot of structure to it. I got aluminum coming over the shoulders. I'm using 1/4-20 screws to hold this closed cell foam. To me, it's very soft, but rigid. I got to cut away some internal parts of the arms here so I have a little more range of motion, but I'm ready to start building the frame off of this. That's the main thing, is I can solve the comfort problems and the sewing problems of this chest harness later, but I had to get its structure sort of roughed out so I could start to build the dino structure off of this. The tail's got to go off my back, and then this frame comes over the top. And yeah, what I really like is I'm using these 1/4-20 bolts with fender washers and button heads on the inside. And that holds this really positively, but it also gives me this really nice set of mounting points that I can work with. I've attached the tail attachment fin to the chest harness, and I'm about to try it all on and see how it goes. Oh, 6 pounds. Cantilevered out is a hell of a weight. Oh, no way. Oh, my goodness. Oh, dude. Oh, dude. Oh, my gosh. That's actually not that bad. I mean, yeah, 6 pounds way out there. Like, this is just a first test, right? This is actually going to get triangulated out to the rest of the frame, and the frame's going to be built up over my head. But for right now, yeah, I've got to make a pattern now for the head part and then start to glue that together, and hopefully I can glue it up at the end of tonight. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, look at that. So see, my head fits within the dino, and the tail is actually in the right spot. I can't tell you how many weeks I've been thinking about this and like how cool it is to see it starting to come together. Oh my goodness. It's been a slam bang hell of an action day. I've got the space frame done out of a really nice head multi-ply Arctic birch ply. It's super light. I will eventually cut this fin out. It's just all placeholder. I'm going to start gluing these things together so that they all are mutually supporting. Oh, right, I got to put on the tail. I'm going to try this on with the tail in and see just how it all shapes up. Oh, I may have to build a platform that holds all this up because I can't keep doing this. This thing's only getting heavier. Okay, my head is protected. There's not a lot of room in here. There is not a lot of room in here. I guess I can open that up. Dude. It's not time to start puppeting just yet. But I feel its support. I feel its support across my hips. This could be tightened just a little bit. You know what I need is something that like this sits on so I can just sort of step up into it. But as far as the frame goes, I'm really pleased. This is great. Oh my gosh. And now it's time for me to start working on the mechanics of how the head animates. And the first part of that is their neck arrangement, which allows for head movement like this, like this, like this, all of those is this triangular parallelogram. So it is a set of universal joints joining three slightly bent rods together with a joystick controller back at the operator and the head at the other end. So when the operator does this, the head does this. When the operator does this, the head does this. And when the operator goes up and down, the head looks up and down. You'll see it in a few minutes. The other thing that I have to engineer is the joint at the neck pivot. And that comes off the frame and sits right out here. And it's the business end of everything. It takes a lot of pressure. It takes a lot of torque. I'm using some small pillow blocks and some other bearings that I have, and I hope that they are strong enough for the task of animating this dinosaur. I won't really know until I get this stuff all sort of tied together. There's two of the universal joints in one plate. I'm putting the third. These plates aren't in their final form yet. These are just stand-ins right now, so I can kind of get everything up and running. Okay, one thing that wasn't clear, I've got my arrangement here, but I have too many axes of movement. I made these brass pins to hold the bottoms of these U-joints. The problem is they need to be hard mounted into this because the U-joints can't spin. They can't spin in place. That's how this thing maintains its parallelogram and doesn't just deteriorate. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that because I haven't built this mechanism before. So I gotta put a little into each of these pins. So I have successfully solidified my brass pins into my triangular base control plates. I've done that by socking in a little roll pin on each side. There is a further bit of registration I'm going to do. Each of these universal joints needs to face in a very specific direction. They have set screws on either side. They're 180 degrees offset, right? So they're on either side. The orientation is that. So I am going to chuck this into the mill and mill just a little bit of a flat on both sides of all 6 of these pins. I always like to give my set screws a little extra help. So I like milling flats for set screws to sit against because that means the rod can't rotate. I've had too many shafts held by set screws fail on me to have much confidence in them. So I'm going to mill some flats on these to get that kind of positive grab. Yeah, so tolerance is a really powerful scheduling device, right? Like I could have machined these plates and like positioned them exactly so that everything was identical, but I didn't really need to. And so because this is such a big build, I am reducing time spent on precision where precision's not necessary. And some of that is just institutional knowledge. Like, this is very exciting. This is a beautiful mechanism. I'm really kind of, ooh. Yeah, it has a sensitivity and a animatability to it that I really dig. Test fit! Great. So right away, I'm noticing, oh, ooh. I guess I can't go much farther below that, but I can certainly go up. Ooh, yeah, okay. So there's like actually some limits because it can get caught in. All right. There is so much going on in this mechanism, okay? So first of all, up here, there is both up and down. So in this pivot, there's up and down. And I've got a nylock screw there so I can adjust that and make it a little tenser if I want, which is really nice because its balance point sort of has it sit there. Then I've got about a 15-degree movement here on the pivot, which is a pillow block up here and a pillow block under there. You can see the pillow block there. And I've hogged out a bunch of material, so this is as light as it can be. I can probably trim that front end back a little bit. And then there is these two shaft collars, which position the neck relative forward to back, which means that my mechanism can be adjusted to the size of Animax's skin perfectly, etc. But also it affords this movement. Okay, so yeah, we are. I think maybe what I need to do is put an X right here and screw it in. And then I guess if I have a monitor, it will also go there. Yeah. All right, well, I have my control handle arrangement. So this piece of aluminum here is the original square you saw at the other end of the Dino head puppet rig. I've triangulated it, hogged it out. Remember, these three brass pins are all pinned in with roll pins. I found some aluminum tube that's the exact diameter of bicycle handlebars. And so I've attached the brakes to this, and that is, one of these will be jaw and one of these will be eyes. I think left is jaw, right is eyes. We shall see. And I may want to turn these upside down. I'm trying to play around with it. Yes. Like this. I think, though, that these have to go down. I'm running cables from these handles, effectively bike brake cables, and I am going to, if I had to route them down and then up, well, then I run into a little bit of tricky trouble. Oh, you just let go. Oh yeah, that feels way more positive. The head, well, the internal parts of the head are there. I still need to do a little space frame hogging out there, which I will, and also on the jaws, which I will. But for right now, I'm just getting the mechanicals worked out. This will support the 3D print that is the shape of the head. The eyes are going to go on either side of this. I'm not sure how far out. I'm going to include some adjustability for that. But right now, what I'm hoping to achieve before the end of today is a jaw. So in order to get this up and running, I need to mount it to the Dino. So here we go. It's been a day. It has been a day. But I have, let's see, on this, the 5th day of this build, I have fleshed out the interior structure for the skull. It's super lightweight. I have attached one of the 2 activation cables, the one for the mouth. I have finished up the space frame and lightened up the control surfaces for the triangular parallelogram. I think that's the term. Hey, you want to see it work? Yeah, I think you do. Oh. All right, let's buckle in. Let's buckle up, Buttercup. Okay, so, ooh, oh, dude. That is a cardboard cutout, man. And from here, I'm telling you, I'm looking at the camera. It looks great. Oh, okay. Let's see if I can. Oh. Okay, I can kind of rise up off of this thing. Let's see if I can get all the way up. Oh. I might have made it just a bit too tall, really. But let's have the first. Yep, we're free. Oh my gosh. Oh. Arr. Okay, so I immediately see one thing, which is I want to shorten this distance here so I can get a little better control surface, like my blank controls. Yeah, but he can come up. He can go all the way up. Ooh, whoop. Oh, whoops. Hey. There we go. I'll have to provide a stop so it can't go past center on that one. But, oh man. Yeah. All right, so the first thing that I learned is that these three rods aren't the same length because you don't have the range of motion. I'm gonna wanna pull, I'll figure that out tomorrow morning. I have to say, this feels pretty comfortable to wear right now. Yeah, it's well balanced on me. So I am, that is also a really, really good sign. Okay, let's see if I can get myself back up. That was in every way a very successful test. Careful viewers of Tested may recognize the material I'm experimenting with here on the ribs is the self-same material I used when I made, I just drew a total blank, Totoro, which is this rattan, this 3/16 inch thick rattan, which is really, really, really good stuff. I mean, it's not indestructible, but it's really bendable. I've got most of a kind of a thorax going on here. I'm about to start to stitch this together and to start to create a sort of rough body shape. There are so many factors to consider. Oh my gosh, right? The biggest one being that I've got to be able to accommodate the mechanics, right? So they've got to fit within this chest, and they do for the most part. I'm gonna need to like bottom that chest out just a little bit. My raptor's gonna just be a little bit, got a little bit of a belly. While it looks like there's a lot of room for the operator inside, there's not a lot of room for the operator inside. Like all the room that you have, you need all that room. But I feel like I've surmounted one hurdle. So the process is going to go like this. I'm going to slowly go in with this rattan and start to stitch it in and cross stitch it and make it self-supporting. I'm going to rough it in with zip ties, and then I'm going to secure it with artificial catgut, which I think is going to be a lot stronger. It's going great. If I get the body done today, I've gotten a fair bit of work done. Yeah. So here we go. It's time for me to talk about work that is this tedious and intense to do, because this work is super tedious and super intense. But what I really want to do is I want to make sure you don't think that I had some like solid plan when I started attaching the rattan, because I didn't. I kind of knew roughly what the sides were supposed to look like. I kind of knew roughly what the body shape was supposed to be. And I just started fleshing it in. Now, I didn't randomly start attaching my X's here, my crossings of the rattan, until I felt like I had a reasonable take on it. So I started out doing the first couple of rows up by the neck and just tightening them in with some wax twine, because I thought that's going to be more solid and a better attachment method than the zip ties. I was wrong. Zip ties are as strong or stronger than the wax twine for this particular execution. So I'm very happy about that. And then I noticed that I could get into real trouble because I could actually end up with a bulge somewhere and I wouldn't be able to kind of work it out. And replacing one of these spars, a big pain in the ass. So that's when I started to, when I'm tackling a project that has this many parts and this many potential ways it can go wrong, I start just examining, what do I know? What do I know right now? So, well, I know what the keel sternum should look like. Keel sternum is the name of this breastbone in both birds and dinosaurs, if my absolute non-education in dinosaur physiology holds true. So I stitched up the center chest, and then I started working upwards from there. And with this, working from the neck and the center chest working up, I'm able to start to massage until the shape is more consistent. I had to adjust a couple of things. I had a couple of little breaks, but for the most part, it's been really pretty stable. And honestly, this is a very robust and crazy lightweight structure. I don't think I've added more than a pound for this entire structure. And I'm gonna cover this with some open cell fabric that breathes really well, and I can actually see through it. Ooh, whoops. Okay, so here I was like talking to you, and I screwed up because I wanted to, this needs to come over this way. Yeah, so this is like, this kind of work just takes, how do I say this? I just wanted you to be clear that it wasn't like I had some grand plan and you're seeing it play out. I had some grand assumptions and you're seeing those play out. And I like to do a build like this so that I can adjust as I go. And I'm looking for the pathways that allow me the ability to both see where I am, see where I'm going, and adjust on the fly. I can't tell you how much I have learned from the power of the next step. And what I mean by that is, I often go into a build and I don't know what the overall plan is, but I know precisely what the next step is. And you might find yourself with a situation in which there's all these parameters and you're like, I don't know how they relate to each other. And I don't even know how to figure out how they relate to each other. That kind of thing happens to me all the time. And my execution method for that kind of conundrum is, well, what do I know? Okay, I absolutely know that I need this part and this part. So let me put those in place and let me re-examine this question. Still a ton of parameters, still don't know what the overall plan is, but now at least I have an idea about what the next step is. And man, I have found that both from a temporal standpoint as a maker and also an emotional standpoint as a human being. How to proceed through difficult times in your life. You're rarely going to be able to see the whole thing. You're rarely going to be able to concoct an entire plan, but you know what the next step is, and that is all that you need to know. This is the 6th day. This is the end of the 6th day. And I'm going to try crawling up into this thing and seeing if I can't get it on. Oh. Oh, man. I'm clearing my tail. Okay. Oh yeah, got some work to do up there. That's faux sure. This feels very comfortable to operate. I will tell you right now, this feels super comfortable. It's way, way lighter than I was afraid it was going to be. So now I'm going to try and get back up into my stand and see if I can't find my, I have to get it on the stand in order to get out of it. So let's see what I can do. Oh, the benefits of, ow. Okay. This is, yeah, all right. Oh, okay. There it is, there it is. Now I see where I am. All right, good. Oh! I have just achieved a milestone. I've coated the entire body and tail. Actually, aside from being modular, actually flow into each other really nicely. I've got a super lightweight, durable coating that adds to the springiness and the strength of the rattan inside and adds almost no weight. This entire thing so far is, with the neck mechanics, is less than 23 pounds. It feels super lightweight to wear. I just wanted you to get a bird's eye view of the inside of this, so I'm gonna crawl in while you're watching because I thought you'd wanna see this. Here's, yeah. I've gotta reach up. Oh, my glasses are the hardest part. Gotta reach up, there we go. So now I'm in, and I think I would need someone to buckle my waist belt in, but here I am operating the controls, and I have plenty of room in here. This is roomy, and it really breathes, and I can see everything. I'm really, really pleased with how this has gone. Here, take a, oh, hey. See, I've got, yeah, there, hi. I've made the tail, I made the body, and now it's time for me to make the neck, and I'm holding the base ring for the neck, and I've been standing here for like half an hour trying to figure out, well, how am I gonna attach this neck? Let's see. Yeah, top, inside. You have to label everything. I've been wondering how I was going to attach it, and then I realized just Velcro around it, and I put Velcro on the, yeah. I'm being a little silly. But the neck is actually one of the more complicated parts because the neck moves. And so I'm going to use spacer mesh fabric. I'm going to sew this two-sided framework, and then I might add some internal structure to it so it can move without crumpling like animals move. So it looks like it's got some structure inside, but it still needs to be super open inside because of the framework for activating the head. And by the end of today, I hope to be able to put on and puppet most everything but the legs. Yeah, I got my work cut out for me. Okay, the first neck is on. I don't know how it's gonna look. I don't know how to move, but we're gonna try it out. I'm gonna try it on, see how we go. Oh. All right, and burst out of the bottom. Whew. So this neck, it looks terrible. Yeah. I see that hump back there should be farther forward. Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna sew another neck and try that neck out. Well, I've re-implemented a new neck. Here it is. And I'm actually going to fill this neck with some ribs that I made, 8 in total. Yeah, I'm experimenting with this. This is like a 6-ply plywood. It's really, really super resilient, super flexible. I think it might be great for this neck, but I got to install all these and then I got to put it on here and then let's see if I can get it all going. Okay, I have installed a whole bunch of ribs in the neck and I want to see how it moves. I've also attached the dinosaur's face. This looks so three-dimensional. It's literally a tile print out taped together. Yep. All right. Left look, right look, right look, left look, up, down, chop, chop. I'm not sure if it's working or not, but it seems like it's kind of working. This may be the ass kicker of this build. The neck looks like crap. I'm super not happy with it. Everything else is going really swimmingly. I'm so happy with the body. The transition between the body and the tail, I'm really, really happy with that. The way the tail works, the way the body works, the fitting into the body, all of that is really great. This neck, it's just not working. So I'm actually going to do a thing. Today I'm going to make the leg linkages and the feet. The leg linkages stick out of a hole I've placed somewhere around here. They come out and they allow the dino's legs to mirror the operator's legs. So I'm making a big pair of shoes. I got a big pair of shoes to fill today. So I'm going to use some beautiful multi-layered Arctic birch ply for the feet bases. I've got some shoes I think I can tie into those. But then there's the linkage that goes all the way from the foot to the body. And that is going to require some tubing and some linkages. These linkages I'm about to build today are, it's gonna be an object lesson in a very specific type of rapid construction that I love to do. So for the record, I need to make 2 of these. These are the joints up at the shoulders. I need to make 4 of each of these. These are called clevis joints, and that will be the 2 main knees. And then above the ankle, I need a mounting system for each foot. This is the kind of job that I could hand off to someone and they could potentially CAD the whole thing and CNC these parts. But these linkages are going inside of a foam leg. So the dimensions here, they're very spongy. The only major critical dimension is that in the back of each one of these linkages, I need to be able to fit this 1-inch pipe and clamp to that pipe really nice and tight. But besides that, I have very little restrictions in terms of size. So I'm not going to be using a ruler for most of this. I'm just going to be kind of barreling through. And this is the kind of job where I might pass this off to a shop assistant and say, just make this really quickly. That's a 1/2-inch hole. That's a 1-inch hole. You don't have to measure anything, just so long as these 2 things fit nice and tight. And it's really hard for people to do that, to put away a ruler. And I get that. I totally get that. You want to get the job right, and you know, rulers help. But for me, for a thing like this, they only slow you down. So you'll be able to see here how I optimize for such a thing. Here are my clevis blanks. So these will get a hole in one end, a couple of threaded holes and a slot for tightening around this tubing. And then half of them will get a fin and the other half will get a fork. So the next thing I'm going to do is set up to drill all 10 of the holes to receive these And I may use a milling bit for that. So again, I'm gonna set up a stop on the mill, set up a milling bit, and basically just chuck these in. 1 drill, 2 drill, 3. Here we go. Welcome to my cave. All right. So this is still a blank that will eventually be a clevis fork. The notch will cut through here on the fork. But the next thing I want to do is give this the ability to clamp onto my pipe. So I am going to drill a hole for a 1/4-20 cap screw, 2 holes in each of these 10 blanks, so 20 holes. Leg clevis is complete. It's now time to move on to the shoulder clevises. The shoulder clevises look like this. I don't need to go into crazy detail. So what I'm going to do for the shoulders clevises is actually even more quick and dirty. This requires this big slot in the middle. I'm going to cut that slot out of this stuff, out of this full thickness, and then I'm going to cut this in half, and then I have 2. That shot ought to give you an idea about what day 10 has in store for me. Feet. I just did it. But I have mounted shoes to wood before, and the way I like to do it is I pull out the insole, and then I drill a hole through about the ball of the foot and the ball of the heel. So right past the toes and right in the center of the heel. And then I sink a flat-headed 1/4-20 bolt. And as far as I've found, modern sneakers can totally handle that, and they don't tear out or anything, and they can take a lot of load. I would not do that to these shoes, I promise. What I've got to do today is sculpt the feet. I've got to sculpt some raptor feet out of some mattress foam. And luckily, I've got some nice big chunks of mattress foam. All right, I'm going to show you something really cool here. I am no foam smith like the eminent and incredible Bill Duran, but I'm going to show you how to make a nice rounded shape using a flat shape. So I've applied some spray headliner glue. This is a spray rubber-based glue, like a contact cement. I've sprayed it on the surface of this foot. So you can see that it's the right shape, but its profile is terrible. If I spray it like this, and I come in and I fold it so that one corner meets the other, you can see what I'm getting out of that. Yeah, right? This was taught to me by puppet maker and modeler extraordinaire Danny Wagner and Christine Els. They were working at Jamie's shop in the mid-90s, building a beautiful dinosaur. Look at that. See that? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to continue on both of these. Oop.
Present day Adam here again, and that's where things left off several years ago. A lot of time has passed and a lot of things have happened, and there is still so much to do. She needs a lot of paint. She needs a little mechanical problem solving. And to do all of that, I need help. I can't complete her on my own, so I'm bringing in a couple of amazing collaborators for their expertise and their camaraderie. Over the coming weeks, we will bring her to full fruition, I promise, and we'll also take her out and we'll scare some children. Really? Yes, you'll get to scare some children. Oh, good. See you next time. Thank you so much for watching that video. I've got a merch pitch for you. I'm going to keep it really quick. We have a brand new Demerit Patch 5-pack at tested-store.com. And these are the 5 you can get if you buy it right now. You've got the I hung it off level patch, the I built the chair upside down patch, the I stuck the duct tape to itself. Oh, my personal favorite. I hit my thumb with the hammer and I stuck a stapler in my thumb. Get yours now, tested-store.com.